Hello, my name is Matthew, and this is Daphne. And I read The Selfish Giant by Oscar Wilde. This is part of our Wild Wednesdays. And this short story is much stranger than I remembered. It begins with a group of children playing in a garden that's owned by a giant who has been away for 7 years visiting a friend. And finally, the giant has returned and he finds the children playing in his garden. And he gets angry and he expels the children and he builds a big wall all the way around his garden. And he puts up a sign that says, "No trespassing," because it's his garden. He's a very selfish giant. And now he's all alone, cooped up in his walled garden. And the seasons pass, and spring comes back around. But spring does not arrive in the garden. Instead, it stays winter. There's hail and frost and snow, and the northern winds are blowing all through his garden, while outside of the garden, the birds are singing, there's blossoms and loveliness all around, except in this garden. The giant is upset. And this goes on for a while until one day the giant in his castle looks out and he sees a bit of spring in the far corner of his garden. There's blossoms and there's birds. And he goes out to investigate and he finds that children have snuck back into the garden through a little hole and they're playing in his trees. And in the corner, there's a very small child who can't reach the branches. And the trees are even bending their branches down, trying to help the little child. But he cannot reach. The little child cannot reach. And the giant goes over to him, and he's filled with love. And he picks up the little boy, and he puts him in the tree. And this little boy, this child, gives the giant a kiss. And the giant is just bowled over and decides that he's going to take the walls down. And spring comes back to the garden. And he tells the children that they can play here forever and ever. And every day the children come back and it's beautiful. But that one little child that the giant helped and who gave him a kiss never returned. And the giant would ask the other children, "Where is the one small child?" The children would say, "We've never seen him before. We never saw him again." And the giant was sad because he loved this little boy. And so time passed, seasons go by again, and finally one day the giant goes out and he sees the little boy and he runs over to him, and at the sight of the little child, the giant becomes irate and angry because he sees wounds on his wrists and wounds on his feet, Christ-like wounds. And the giant says, "Who did this to you?" And the little child says, "These are wounds of love." The next day, the children come back to the garden and they find the giant dead in the grass. So, I don't really know what to make of it. Was the little child Jesus? Was that Christ? Was he the angel of death that came to kill the giant and take him to heaven? The little child says that the giant is going to go up to heaven and play in heaven's garden for eternity. Such an odd tale of morality. I don't know if there's a moral, but it really is a sweet. Up until the very last paragraph, which is a theme throughout the stories that we've read so far. If you have read the Prince or the Nightingale stories, that the last few pages always turn the whole thing on its head, which Oscar Wilde does so well. I I keep forgetting how he wraps these stories up because it leaves me in a quagmire. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of start repeating myself, but it's a great story. It's full of um, humor and tenderness. It's really great images. The whole garden comes to life. It's um, has personification. There's the personified hail and personified frost. The trees are interacting with the children in human-like, emotional ways. Um, so, it's great. It's a great short story. Let me know if you've read it, and let me know if you have any ideas of what's going on at the end. I'd be interested to hear your take on it, your thoughts. So, if you would like, please leave a comment, and thank you for watching.